Welcome to the games of a very kooky countdown. We're not going bonkers, there's some kooky competition coming up. From young to old to kooky and bold. It's all here. Let the games begin. Welcome to this episode of a very kooky countdown. This time around, it's all about the best games going on. First up in position number 10, this has to take the cake for the dirtiest game ever played. These filthy Germans battled it out all afternoon for the dirtiest World Cup of all time. World Cup fever took over, and these football fanatics were more than happy to wade through mud to try and score for their club. Would you believe that 16 teams came together on the mudflats of the Elbe River near the North German town for the World Mud Football Cup? Unlike the real World Cup, there were no quick passes between players, and there was certainly no footballing elegance. Players had enough trouble simply moving through the mud, let alone performing any fancy football moves. While passing and dribbling was a real challenge, it looked like most of the players were having a good time. Some of the players were heard to say that this was very exhausting, but fun. There were some difficulties too with keeping the ball in play, as nobody could see where the white boundary lines were. It also became a problem a few times just finding the ball. But the muddy games are not just for fun. The day is done for a good cause, with all money raised to go to cancer research. Number 9 on this week's countdown goes to a German business in Berlin that has created a new card game using the faces of famous dictators and leaders from history. Nice and kooky. This kooky card game boasts 32 figures, including Adolf Hitler, Vladimir Ilyich Lenin and Slobodan Milosevic, who have all been made into playing cards. The game, called Fuhrer Quartet, has been based on a well-known children's card game in Germany called Quartet. It had a kind of personal appeal to it, as to whether or not I would be able to create a card game in which this mix of playfulness and irony works. At the same time, however, making sure that the historical significance is not forgotten and played down. We definitely didn't want this to happen. I think it's important that extremes have their idols removed and are instead ironically taken down. This was the purpose of the game, and I think it works quite well. Of course, you can't always make everybody happy. There is always criticism, and I am happy to hear it. I also want to polarize a bit. If everyone had shouted, "Hey, Furo Quartet, how great!" then I would have found this rather strange because it's meant to spark discussion. While the card's creator says the cards have been well received and seem to be a success, he expects some negative feedback, as some people may find playing cards with dictators on them a bit offensive. With that said, his initial production run of 2,000 packs of cards are nearly all sold already, so there is an audience for them. Our kooky countdown continues at number 8, with teams from all over the world converging on a local village green in West Sussex to take part in this year's World Marble Championships.
Well, the thing about marbles, it's good, it's fun and it's enjoyable. It doesn't cost a lot to sort of take part. A handful of marbles, bit of sand, and it's a really nice day out. You can see we've got sort of youngsters here as well as sort of adults. It's fun for all the family.
This event has been dominated by the Germans until the Brits took the title recently. It attracts the world's best players, keen to win the coveted title. This time was no different, with 22 teams of 6 competing at the Greyhound pub in West Sussex.
We do take it quite seriously. The Germans take it very seriously though, and they were even down here yesterday practising. So you know, they obviously want to retain the trophy or win it back.
Organisers of the traditional competition, dating back over 60 years, say its simplicity makes this game enduring.
There are technical infringements which, especially the younger or newer people occasionally, you know, they start moving their hand, which is fudging, so they're throwing the marble rather than flicking it, or they start from the wrong position. So with newer players, you're just looking for naive mistakes like that. With experienced players, you're making sure that they're not, you know, taking their shot from a different angle or something like that to gain tactical advantage.
A marble game starts with 49 marbles, with each of the 6 team members trying to knock out as many as they can, up to 25 to win the game. I think I'm losing my marbles.
The technique is a different one. I think that the English people have a different technique than the German ones. And to compare it to the German technique, it's, I think, more or less a little bit different.
The Germans have been dominant in this exciting spectator sport for years, but in recent times, the Brits have taken the title. Like the World Cup of football, it's all about getting into the finals.
If we get quarter-final or better, semi-final, I mean, we've seen some of the German teams, the trick is if you have 2 or 3 good players out of the 6, and very good players, and the other 3 that are reasonably good, and you get the right average, you're all right.
And unfortunately for the British, like the World Cup of football, taking the grand prize is still out of reach. It was again one of the German teams that held their marbles and came away with the win. Still to come on this kooky episode, more sport than you could poke a hot stick at, so stay tuned. Nope, these people aren't bonkers, they're conkers, and they're at number 7 on the countdown. This is the 42nd Annual World Conker Championships in the village of Ashton in the heart of England. This event draws competitors from around the world, all vying for the title of King and Queen Conker. Before a huge crowd of 5,000 conker enthusiasts, grown adults revert to their childhood, where they would scavenge the roadsides to collect the fruit of the chestnut tree, to then make conkers to take on their friends. The story is the same here at the championships today.
We start gathering them about 2 weeks beforehand, and then they're all graded, so we've got about 2,000 of an even shape and size, and then 2 days before the event they're precision drilled and threaded on the old-fashioned bootlace, and they're there in the ring ready. Players don't see them till they draw them out of a bag.
If you have a big swing, obviously, and you hit the nut square, you're actually going to do very good. But the problem is your own nut can be compromised, and that is the worst thing. It's all luck at the end of the day, because Ashton provide all the conkers, and nobody to avail any cheating sort of thing. Nobody actually has a really clear advantage. It's all down to the nut, and we can't control that. But it's a lot of luck, but a little bit of skill.
Let the games begin. So, with the formalities out of the way, it's down to the serious business of competition to find out who has the hardest conkers, or nuts as they're known by some competitors from overseas. It's a serious business for some competitors who come dressed up, like this scarecrow who was heard saying, if he only had a bigger conker. Come and get a piece of this. Oh, I'm glad that wasn't someone's fingers. Then it was time for the ladies to get into it at this conker competition, which has been going for more than 42 years. And we have a very happy winner. Okay, I'll get it this time. Give me one more go. Oh, we'll get there. Oh, your turn now. And in the end, the king conker out of 200 competitors was Chris Jones, a computer worker from South Kensington. Now for him, fame and glory and a trophy that he can take home to show off. A Very Kooky Countdown continues at number 6 with an ancient Mexican sporting event that is recreated at the National Anthropology Museum. This guy isn't injured from playing the game, but he's actually wrapping himself up in preparation to take on his opponents. Now to work out who goes first. The reason they do this is for the visitors to appreciate and understand this ritual sport, known as Lama, that was invented more than 3,400 years ago. The ancient game, which first emerged around 1000 BC, offered great rewards for the winners, as Jose Mendivel explained.
That
is why when a person, a professional player of old, passed the ball through the ring in that moment, he became a person close to the king, close to the nobility that got a lot of social sinecures. The playing area is rectangular in shape and has stone rings along the walls. The players have to hit a ball through the rings with either their hips or forearms to score points. Apart from some great rewards, there was also a lot of money on stake. Mind you, if you lost, you didn't just lose your dough. Usually, one of the losing players was often decapitated after the game. The money on the game is 1,000 pesos a game, or from 2,000, 3,000 to 5,000. Per person? No, 3,000 pesos for each side, which means the bet is at 6,000 pesos, the stakes. The game also had a religious significance concerning the underworld gods of the day, and is still currently played in Mexico. Our number 5 game on this episode of A Very Kooky Countdown is a cool new subway game you can play in New York for the price of a subway ticket.
The door's at the end, past the JMZ stairway. There are 3 numbers on that door. I want you to go to the next platform that I've told you about before and enter those 3 numbers when you hear Nikki say, Canal Street
The
Station.
game turns the public subway system in New York into a giant playing board for this interactive murder mystery game.
I like mystery, and I like drama too. So the combination of mystery and drama, it was interesting and challenging and fun to do.
When the player makes the call, a computer figures out which phone has called through and then outlines an assignment for them, which can be anything from finding a particular train station or a character in a station mural.
The station is full of atmosphere and mystery. Canal Street Station is great for that, and they definitely get put into an old private eye world with dripping and the tiled walls and everything. So the reaction is very positive.
Walking these long hallways, white tiles and little squares around me everywhere. But you're wrong. Dead wrong.
It has that mystique of the old film noir kind of gritty station. Things, are walking around corners. It's like a maze. Things could jump out at you, and it gives you this level of it's a scary situation, which puts you in that mindset of a private detective.
Drama, mystery, murder, all for a simple $2 subway ticket. On our game special of A Very Kooky Countdown, it's time to celebrate soccer. Since South Africa hosted the 2010 World Cup, the sport of soccer has really taken off, where our number 4 story is proudly held by these ladies. The Bakagula, which means grannies. This soccer club has become the most popular because it accommodates grannies. There are 35 grannies that swap their domestic chores for a run around the soccer pitch. Since the club's inception back in 2007, the grannies have become hooked on the sport and find it a great way of keeping fit. Team members pay around $1 per month to participate, with these fees paying for soccer balls and players' kits. But the team is currently on the lookout for sponsorship. After the break, our top 3 kooky games on this special edition of A Very Kooky Countdown. Time for another world sport now with a classic game of cricket. You might have thought that cricket was a summer sport. Well, not this time. Here in Estonia, cricketers from around the world have come together to play a tournament of cricket on this icy white cricket pitch. This is a new experience for the people of Estonia, who have gathered from all over to watch this gentleman's game. They call this the Baltic Adventures Ice Cricket Tournament. And the plan is to spread it from here to all over Eastern Europe. With temperatures of -6 degrees Celsius, the players appeared to revel in the several matches scheduled for the day. There were over 20 teams taking part, including 2 from Estonia. Since this competition started, Estonians have become very interested in cricket, with hopes to soon have a women's team to complement the men's teams they already have. I don't understand the game, but the guys are running, and it's just interesting to watch.
The main modification is the ball. We can't play with an outdoor leather ball, a normal leather ball, because the leather freezes. It becomes too hard, it becomes dangerous. So we use an indoor composite plastic ball, and that lasts for the day. It doesn't break, and it's fair. It's pretty safe.
This year we've had over 20 teams come to Estonia, and we have 2 Estonian teams, one with expats and one with pure Estonians, and we're hoping that the more people find out about it, the more people want to play.
The Cricket Association, the Cricket Federation are trying to encourage cricket in Central and Eastern Europe, and certainly the Estonian Cricket Association here have made large steps to do that. They've done some work with the Ministry of Culture, they're trying to get it on the curriculum. So it's important because it brings people to Estonia, makes them realise they can play cricket. If we bring lots of English people, Australians, New Zealanders here to play cricket, the Estonians also get interested.
Well, we love playing cricket, and so we came over here to, play cricket in a very unique setting, and this is one of the most unique settings you could play cricket in.
Of course, in conditions like this, there are several modifications to make this game work. These include allowing rolling substitutes to prevent players freezing on the sidelines, and the bowling of just 6 overs per innings to allow for the maximum number of games. There is also a few modifications in the playing equipment to help things along. Players taking part had nothing but praise for the opportunity to play cricket in such unusual conditions. For the record, London team Chelsea Arts Club took out the tournament, winning with 8 balls to spare in the final. Back to the United States now for more kooky games in this Very Kooky Countdown. And here we see a couple of young assassins preparing to stalk their target. They leave their office via a back exit, so they're able to escape any assassins that might be waiting for them. But this isn't what it seems. Agents Nina and her boyfriend, Agent Jacques Bauer, are team members playing a game called Street Wars, based on a popular high school and college game called Assassins. It kicked off in New York with around 240 players taking part. It takes our number 2 spot on a Very Kooky Countdown. Players are given the details, including a photo, name, home and work addresses and phone number of a target whom they must pursue and kill with a water pistol, water balloon or other water-based soaking, while at the same time avoiding the player who is hunting them down.
The draw to this game is being able to use skills that you don't get to use on a regular basis, or maybe you do use them, but you're not really aware of how far you can take them. This observing and being kind of manipulative and devious.
I think it attracts a lot of people that are really competitive. So I think just that competitive nature is what keeps people going for 3 weeks, wanting to beat everybody else in New York. And even though the prize is $500 and a trophy, I think most people are doing it for bragging rights. To be the best assassin in New York, that's something.
To take part in the game, contestants pay $40 in order to get their assignments. They were all marched into a parked truck where they were briefed by the event organisers. For the overall winner, they score $500, a bottle of alcohol and a water gun mounted trophy. The game was co-founded by a couple of 31-year-old New Yorkers known as the Supreme Commander and Mustache Commander respectively.
As a little kid, used to go around and play in parks, use the city as a playground. And as I was getting older, it got to the point where the city was just a place to live in. And getting inspired off of that, I kind of wanted to make it a place to play in again, particularly as an adult. So hence this, Crackhead Alley and liquor and so on and so forth.
The game made its debut on the streets of New York in 2004 and has been played not only in the United States, but in parts of Europe as well. Game creators next plan to develop the game into a reality TV show. We've made it to the top spot in this episode of A Very Kooky Countdown, our Games edition. And that #1 place goes to a spring festival in Turkey, where in the name of friendship, participants take to whipping each other. The game, called the Kamoki, or the whipping game, is a tradition in these parts of Turkey. Thousands of people come from all over to watch the whipping game and mark the end of the spring season. According to locals, in these parts, you're mad if you're not part of this festival.
This is the spring festival of our region. They play this game around May 28 to 29 between about 20 or 30 villages. The best players are chosen and this happens. It's a local specialty. It is the spring festival.
And of course, that's what you do in spring. Whack your closest friends with a material whip. Fun! The whipping game draws the largest crowds at the festival. To play, competitors meet at the centre of a circle. Then one by one whip each other and then leave their place to the other players.
Although it is kind of a torture, people play it. Does it hurt? Oh yes. Sometimes it bleeds, but it is a traditional boys' game.
Players tie fabrics together in order to build a whip, but most importantly they take care not to hurt each other, as this is a game all in the name of friendship. Those that take part are complete diehards, and some travel far and wide to get to this event, sometimes putting everything on the line.
I came here from Istanbul just for this whipping game. It's very important. I left Istanbul on May 25, where I am doing my military service. I asked permission from my commander officer and borrowed some money to travel. Otherwise, I would have gone AWOL to get here.
It's said that this game has existed for hundreds of years and certainly holds important traditions among the 20 to 30 villages of the area. That's it for this countdown. See you next time on A Very Kooky Countdown.